How do you feel about orange lightsabers?
Orange lightsabers.
Yes, sir.
I'm all about it. I think for me personally, if I was to choose, I would have a yellow one. Um, I just like how it looks. Orange is pretty fire. Not gonna lie, just because Balin and Shin, they got the little orange going, kind of like a scarlet, probably more so. But yeah, I mean, I mess with the orange lightsaber. What about you?
Yeah, I like it. I think it matched Cal Kestis's hair in that first Jedi Fallen Order game. Plus, it was a
Ah,
pre-order bonus, I think. So I had to run it up with the orange lightsaber. But then every now and then there's this cloak. I think you find it on Dathomir, and or poncho, whatever you want to call it. And it has this like black tattoo striping happening on it with the orange. Dude, such a cool color combination. So yeah, I mess with the orange sabers, but beyond Cal Kestis and I guess Balin and Shin, I'm having trouble thinking of anybody else that has one. So it still feels unique as well. And I like that they serve some sort of purpose and meaning behind that shade.
yeah, nah, for sure. Um, Man, if you could have a lightsaber color, what do you think it would be?
Color wise, I got to go white. I got to go with Ahsoka's white,
Mm,
especially from Rebels. When I saw that for the first time, which he takes on those Inquisitors, dude. Oh my gosh, I think it sent chills down my spine in a weird way. And then her fighting the Inquisitors, and I'll be that guy. I love the gyrating hilt. I think there's something so cool about it. The Tron Legacy aesthetic to it, but also just the ability to hover. Come on now, dude. People ask
yeah,
about what superpower do you want, and they give you. People say flight. Well, dude, I could get that with the lightsaber. That's awesome. That's a 2-in-1. So
nah, facts.
I'm taking Inquisitor lightsaber and white crystals, and it's all in that one episode of Rebels. It's just they got red,
Yeah,
she has white, 2 blades, Inquisitor blade. How about you though? You strike me as like a Dooku kind of guy with yellow.
man, the curved hilts are pretty nasty. I can't lie. I will say, kind of speaking on the white blade, I will say, I love the purified aspect to it. Kind of reversing the bleeding of a kyber crystal. I think that's really cool. And plus, I mean, it fits Ahsoka's character. I mean, it's spot on. I will say though, if I was the perfect lightsaber to me, of course, give me yellow. But I would probably either have to go with Obi-Wan's hilt or Qui-Gon's hilt. Now, I think with Obi-Wan's, my homie Jacob, actually, the backyard video that we did, he
So much fun,
finally got the he
dude.
finally
So
got
much
the
fun.
Obi-Wan lightsaber, and I was just like looking at it, and I'm like, dude, they really nailed it with the hilt. How it gets real skinny at the like where the emitter attaches to the like blade itself. I mean, it has that little skinny part, and then it fleshes out again. It's just like, dude, it's a whole look. So I mean, I really like that. It's cool. Little aesthetic to it, good little vibe. But yeah, man, I don't know. More and more, I'm really liking Qui-Gon's. I think it's just very, very slick and very. I'm a huge fan of the color black. I mean, if you look in my closet, you're gonna see 90% black. That's just how I roll, man. It matches everything, looks good. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think I would have to, Qui-Gon's hilt with the yellow blade. It's probably the ideal lightsaber for me.
So I do like it, and I have a little story to go alongside it. You were talking in one of your conversations about a Qui-Gon hilt, but it didn't have Qui-Gon's color on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I also grew up with a Qui-Gon lightsaber, and it was a red blade inside. And dude, I was always so, what's going on here? I
Right.
didn't know whose lightsaber this was all this time. So they just used his for all sorts of things. So I guess as a kid, for me, that Qui-Gon hilt, that was the only like whip it out lightsaber that I had. And to be honest, up until Kylo Ren, uh, till like Force Awakens came out, that was the only lightsaber I had growing up as a kid. So Qui-Gon's always felt special to me, but it always felt like it was readily customized as well because of the red. And what color was yours again? Was it blue or purple?
No, it was purple.
Dude,
Very
that,
weird.
yeah, indeed. Do you think they made it that way, or do you think somehow, without you knowing, it was customized to be as such? Like you and a friend part swapped it.
Here's the thing, though. I remember being at Walmart. This is like circa 2005 to 2007, maybe, just like in those years after Revenge of the Sith came out. I mean, like me and like a homie down the street, like we're 6, 7, 8 years old, just outside, just working all day, bro, just freaking trying to get the spins down, like reenacting scenes, all that, man. But I just remember going to Walmart and seeing the bin because it came in like the cardboard bin and you could like pick which one you wanted. Or that was kind of like the backlog. So you could like get the ones that are hanging up, and they still do that now. But yeah, dude, it's like you got Anakin's lightsaber, his hilt from episode 3. You got Obi-Wan's, and of course it was chunky. It wasn't skinny towards the top. I believe there was Luke's, but it's very similar to Obi-Wan's in a way. But then there's Qui-Gon's, and you could get red, green, or purple, which is so fucking weird because when I remember you commented that on the video, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
no way someone else caught that, like to where I can be like, oh, that's weird. Now we can talk about it, which I mean, hence right now. But it's
yeah.
so weird because like, yeah, mine was purple, but what I would do is I would take, which now makes sense, the Luke from Return of the Jedi, I would take the green out because if you like squeeze the bottom of the blade really hard, you could like pop out the actual like extendo blade and then swap it in. So that way I can make it Qui-Gon's. But yeah, dude, it's so weird. I don't know if maybe Vader or Mace Windu's hilt was too hard to make. Maybe at the manufacturing of Hasbro, because I believe those are Hasbro lightsabers. I don't know if they were too hard to make. Maybe they're too intricate, and especially with Mace Windu's, you're only getting the one color. So I don't know, man. It's a weird thing, but I'm glad you went through it too. That way, I'm not just sitting over here, sounding crazy.
Yeah, no, dude, that was my childhood saber, and obviously there's something so special about that. My theory was always this. Have you ever played the Revenge of the Sith, like the game, before?
I believe it was on original Xbox too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then yes.
So, okay, so you might remember this in that versus mode. If you if you're Dooku and I'm Dooku, it brings up an alternate skin for Dooku where he's the Jedi version.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of a fun thing to do, but you couldn't alternate the skins. It was only if like both players played as the same character. So they had like an evil version of Syndraulic. If you did, two players as Syndraulic. My favorite was the General Grievous, and like it would be a four-armed red lightsaber Grievous, and he had like kind of a almost like a purplish like color shader added to him as like an even more evil Grievous, like if you went full on Sith. And then there was another one too. If you got to play as Darth Vader, it was Vader still, but with the blue hilt or the blue saber opposed to the red. And I kind of always wondered like, were they gonna work on a game where you could play as Qui-Gon and then you have your secondary skin and there was the red lightsaber Qui-Gon, but with the purple lightsaber Qui-Gon, that just adds too many variants. I think it's just one of these weird things that I love about Star Wars, which is just, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's one of those core memories. It's one of the canon events of just the love and the questioning of Star Wars. And here we are right now, still invested, still doing all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly. I mean, you got the helmets behind you. I mean, and little to nothing, you have a Star Wars company. I'm a proud consumer of Carbonites. Just a few boxes here, nothing too crazy, guys. Don't think I'm getting these sent to me like nothing, because I mean, we're right here. It's like I got stacks on me. But look, just to show off a little bit, this is the company right here. So if you've seen these before, this is what we're going to talk about. Carbonites. If you follow me on Instagram, you absolutely know that I got these in the collection as well, with the Lego, with the Funko, Black Series, Power of the Force, this, that, and the other, Doorables. I got it all. But these right here, this is the newest Star Wars collectible, I'm telling you right now. So make sure you go check those out. But hey, instead of me yapping, let's go ahead and talk to the creator and founder of Carbonites. Take the floor, man.
Brandon, thank you so much for having me on for this conversation. Been really looking forward to this and telling you guys a lot more about Carbonites. Now, this is a jumbo Carbonite. This is a pretty big one, but this is my mascot. It's my logo. I think you can figure out as to why. Now, this is a company that there is no license attached. This is truly its own third-party entity, and we can talk more about the legalese and everything later. But these are all inspired by designs based on things from a galaxy far, far away. I started the company Carbonites back in 2021, and then I relaunched in autumn of 2024. As Brandon was showing you just now, each Carbonite case does come with 6 figurines, and each individual figurine I call a Carbonite. So here is an example of what one looks like. They are 1 by 1 by 2 inches tall, and they typically have a name on the bottom as well. And what Carbonites are is they are more than simple caricatures. I try to make them artisan artworks. You know, we design for completionists. I like to think of my collection as being incredibly consistent. And with some of the offerings, I had a hard time finding the balance between consistency and just the things that I wanted, whether it be changing packaging or changing the design. Scale has always been a big issue for me personally. So when I started up Carbonites, my goal was to try to tackle each and every one of those, all while making carbon copies of your favorite characters and mine and all of ours collectively.
I know you said that you had started in 2021 and you had the relaunch in 2024. What was the preparation like in between that time? Because I mean, we know how things go on a pause. We know how things take a while. I mean, we're post COVID. You know, we had a time where we were just sitting around, waiting for things to get re-stimulated again. So, like, what was the time in between like? Was it a lot of mental preparation? Was it a lot of physical preparation? What went on during that time?
It's a great question. So the short answer is college. So I'll walk it back even further. So most people say that the first Carbonite was made in 1980 in a very famous film that we all love. But for me, my first Carbonite, the first step into this larger world, was made in 2011. And that was on this right here. So this is like ancient. This is history right here. And as you can tell, this is a battle droid. And what it's made on is a Jenga block, like straight up jumbling tower game. And when I was a kid, my family was very big on you get presents at Christmas and on your birthday. And that is super awesome and just super generous. As a Star Wars fan, when you want to army build and when you want to, create these epic battles, sometimes it is a little bit harder to go in between Christmas and birthdays. And I wasn't going to ask my parents for more Star Wars figures. I knew it was a want. It was not a need. However, I love Star Wars, man. So I wanted to make my own figures. And my parents gave me a way to make my own figures. They gave me this Jenga. And we had just bought a pack of Sharpies about the week prior. And they said, hey, take these Jenga blocks and just, go to town, draw these characters on there, make whoever you damn well please. And there's certain characters I love, like Plo Koon. And when I was a kid at the age of 11, there was some Plo Koon merch out there. There was probably 3.75. There was stuff from Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars, even onto Revenge of the Sith. But I couldn't find it as a kid, or my parents couldn't find it. So we started making our own. That's where it started. And then this was just a summer project. Like most kids, you latch on to something else and you move on. And especially when that summer came to an end, all these Jenga blocks were made. You tuck it away and then you move on to the next phase of life. 2021 comes around. And I think a lot of us, at least of our age, I am currently 24. I turned 25 in just a little bit. And Brandon, how old are you, by the way? Sorry.
28, man.
28. All right, cool. So I'm sure for you, Clone Wars Season 7 was a huge deal when that came out. And dude, it life-changing. Like just from the animation upgrade to hearing that theme all over again, to Yularen's voice, to just, dude, all of it was just, I couldn't contain my excitement. So I come home from college, because it was COVID hours, real COVID hours, and a lot of uncertainty in the air. And Clone Wars Season 7, dude, was that transition. That was that project from leaving college, it was my freshman year, going into my second semester, to then coming home, uncertainty of the world. But man, I had that Clone Wars, and we as Star Wars fans had that Clone Wars Season 7, that pivotal moment. as one does when you move back in, you go through some old stuff to make room for some new stuff. And as I'm making room for everything, where did I place those? I found those Jenga blocks again. This time around, we were fresh out of the Jenga blocks. So me and my dad, we cut up some smaller wood blocks, and we created some crude and rather rudimentary Carbonite 2.0s.
Oh,
Still,
wow.
dude, didn't even do the back. We just wanted the front or the side. We just wanted that Ahsoka right there.
Wow.
And dude, these also are precious, you know, because we had new characters like Vaughn right here, who was bugging. This guy he's not even fully there. But this worked for me. Like, you know, we have Funko Pops of Gar Saxon, and of this Ahsoka, there's like a few of them. We have Black Series as well, but at the time there was none of that. So kind of going back to the like, man, Clone Wars season 7, dude, I'm indoors. I need some sort of COVID project. On top of falling in love again with these guys, just by the way, here's a quick size comparison. I fell in love again, so I started making them. So fast forwarding a little bit, because of the like COVID and everything, the job market was pretty tough, and with my program in college, in fact, it was the reason that I went to this school, is they do 5 co-op rotations throughout your whole duration it was a University of Cincinnati. So at UC, you had 5 co-op rotations, which is an internship for those who don't know. It's just a little bit more hands-on than your typical internship. I loved this idea, this co-op program. And as soon as I learned about it, I knew that's where I was going. Thing is, with COVID, that first rotation came around, and there was not a lot of internships. On top of that, I was pretty novice with my own designs, so it was kind of hard for me to find an internship. So I was tasked with creating my own. It was an upskilling course, and with that upskilling course, you just have to sharpen your skills. And I decided to take these guys, and instead of doing paint, pen, and Sharpie, I decided to take it into Photoshop and Illustrator, which I had just learned, and started making carbonites. So that's what that 2021 period looks like. And then because college was college and there was all sorts of things to do, it took some time. But after graduation, I knew I had to come back to carbonites. And that's why 2024, carbonites unfroze officially and became something a lot more official looking and a little bit more clean and a little bit more crisp. So,
dude, that's crazy to see the B1 battle droid, and just it's a hand sketch, and then it goes
right.
to the Ahsokas, the Cad Banes, the Vaughns. Like, that's crazy. And then just to know that it comes down to something quite, sorry, I gotta rummage through these. I mean, who would have ever thought that a perfectly Spice Syndicate character right here could be, such, like, for me, bro. And I know
What's
everything
up?
that you just went over, it's
What's up?
just starting from hand, starting from going, literally learning how to use these skills in your college classes. Now you can make something very intricate, very precise, and very, very detailed. And it's insane how you got it down to a T. Like, one of my other questions for you too is, like, how does it feel to, see the blueprint, of course? And I know 1000% that it was very satisfying for you to take that next step and keep hitting those milestones, knowing that you finally found your final product in production. So now you have, what we have in our hands here, that final copy. What did it feel like to know, like, okay, I found it. This is what they look like going on forward?
That's a fantastic question. It is surreal because I still have never gotten over the excitement when you go to the store and you buy an action figure right off the peg and you take it home. In my case, sometimes I put a little seatbelt on it over the bag, and you take it home and you find a way to work it into the collection, picking a spot for certain things. And it's like, man, I would have never thought that. And you buy something, I don't know if I have the space for it, but you make it work. those little moments of discovery and excitement, knowing that I can give that to certain people, such as yourself, as you fan out your Carbonites, knowing that for me, I can pretty much create any character that I desire without having too much bias. I want to make what other people want as well. It's pretty surreal because look, 11-year-old Vincent, I don't think he knew what he was doing. Like my parents gave me the Sharpies and the Jenga blocks, and they said, "Hey kid, make who you want." And dude, here's how you know I didn't even know what I was doing. Metallic Sharpies. They are a great tool to like seal off corners of things because it kind of, there's nothing like a metallic Sharpie as far as color goes. So like if I were to take this block, and this is like a silver color right here, and if I were to pencil it in black with a Sharpie, it would kind of fade over time. But there's something about these metallic Sharpies, man, they hold up. And I'm looking at this and I go, dude, that looks like a slab of carbonite. Like I happen to have just chose silver as a kid. So it did take a certain amount of dumb luck, I will admit, but everything beyond that, everything getting it from that to this, there was a lot of hard work. And I think that's what's exciting for me, is getting to see how it pays off. And I did not think it would be where it's at as soon as it is. And it's one of the greatest feelings in the world. I throw it to you. You probably grew up watching, whether it be figure reviews or people talking about Star Wars lore and theories, and you now get to inspire your viewers to think about those rabbit holes to go down, or inform them on a Lego set, and then they might take your review, go all the way to the Lego store themselves, get that set, and be like, yo, my man Brandon, he said this set was it, came with this figure and this play feature, and I need that in my collection. And you kind of fostered that for somebody. How does that feel for you?
Man, me personally, I've always, I feel like it stems from how I grew up. So, I had friends that were, into, football, basketball. I grew up an athlete as well. I had friends that were into music, guitars, saxophone. I had friends who were into, grunge music, emo music, the whole nine yards. I had so many different like demographics of friends growing up. So, one thing that I found kind of being, you know, involved with all of them is kind of understanding like what you like. So, and I feel like that is just a huge thing within Star Wars. So, a couple of years, of being a Star Wars fan in middle school, high school, I kind of veered off a little bit. I'm a growing boy. Star Wars is nerdy. Used to get made fun of in elementary school for liking it, being told that the prequels sucked, stuff like that. I mean, I've been through it all. We all have. So, I mean, the thing for me is the lore, the theories, the Funko, and the Lego. I mean, basically, those are all four things that I love about Star Wars. The Funko and Lego, my wife kind of put that on me. She got me the Boba Fett helmet Lego in 2021, and that just, man, that started all of the sickness behind me. So I mean, that is kind of the other thing. So it's like I have all these things, I might as well show them off, and kind of find the cool things about it, this and that and the other. But I mean, the lore and the theories, that's what I love about Star Wars. I feel like every single day I'm always thinking like, yo, what is Grogu somehow gonna get the Darksaber crystal and create his own blade or shield and become the second to Tar Vizsla, being the next Jedi Mandalorian? Because I
Dude,
don't think it's Sabine. I mean, look, I'm rambling theories. I'm always thinking about theories. But then again, the lore. I love the lore of Star Wars. If I was to tell anyone, if someone was to ask me what is the best story you've ever heard, I would say Star Wars. Some people say the Bible, some people say Lord of the Rings, some people, nowadays are saying The Last of Us. It just kind of depends what you're into. But for me, man, it's Star Wars 1000%. I'm always wanting to know more. And that's the thing with Star Wars, is there's still so much more to learn. That's why I will say right now, went to GameStop today, got the new Clone Commander fives Funko, the retro series. Picked that bad
dude,
boy up.
word.
And And the guy at GameStop was like, "You're not gonna pick up the Star Killer?" And I was just like, "Nah, not for me, man." And he's just like, "What kind of Star Wars fan are you?" So I was like, "Ah, all right, here we go. Got to pull the britches up a little bit, you know." So I'm like, "Well, I'm just kind of, I'm a canon guy. I try to stay true to the story that's being told now. I do understand a lot of things in Legends are really great. So many good stories. One of my favorite Legends um, stories that I can just kind of back myself up with is Vader versus Boba Fett, and Boba Fett actually won. I can't remember what book it's from, but I remember watching a theory video on YouTube about them two fighting, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy!" And I can't remember what book it's from, but that is really really cool. But would that happen? No, I just don't think that's going to happen. But, Star Killer is one of those characters where he's too OP, and that's kind of like the main consensus. Cool character, love Sam Witwer. The games were really cool. I actually never played them growing up. We got the Xbox super late. I wasn't gaming until maybe 12, 13. And I mean, my dad had the original Xbox. We played there's a Attack of the Clones game, the Revenge of the Sith game, stuff like that. But I never got into the Force Unleashed. So I'm just like, that character doesn't resonate with me. And that's fine. But at the same time, that's what all of those things right there. It's the lore and the theories. Those are the main thing. But for me, the Funko and the Lego all kind of tie into what I like. And I also want everything that I do on my channel, on the channel that everyone has helped me build, is look, like what you want, and that's fine. But check this out. I have a wide variety of 4 different things that I like to explore all individually and make them all come together. So, I mean, if you're you get 4 things to choose from. So maybe I can kind of cover your niche there. But that's what it's all about for me, per se. And I know that was a very straightforward question, but then, it has to veer off into have to explain each individual thing just for it to make sense.
No, I'm happy that you did. I was thinking about that comic cover where Vader does fight Boba, and isn't it at, I don't know if it's on Mustafar, but isn't there like a volcano behind them or something like heavy metal like that?
So I didn't want to sound like I knew exactly what I was talking about because I didn't. But I did want to say that it was on a volcanic planet like Mustafar. That's what I
There you
thought,
go.
anyways. But yes, so we are thinking about the
Yeah.
same thing.
Dude, Boba Fett, I know he's one of your favorites. I think Kenobi's your favorite character, right? Then Boba, he's A1 after that.
Yes, and I feel like those two teeter every day. One day I'm like, yeah, Boba, all day, and then it's like, ah, man, just can't beat Kenobi. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, they're both great, but yeah, Obi-Wan then Boba.
Okay. And I know that you do favor the Book of Boba Fett show. You and I actually would agree on that for sure.
Yeah.
And that's another rabbit hole too. But what's something that's so cool about Boba Fett? And when I was a kid, I needed to collect the Empire Strikes Back bounty hunters in any form that they come. That was what I needed as a kid. That was like the background aliens that really kind of captured my imagination. And dude, Boba Fett being one of the only people to talk back to Darth Vader and not get the force choke, just being able to talk back, and Vader is able to banter with him. He's able to put him in his place, but it doesn't really get much more badass than that. And it's really
Right.
cool that Vader tolerates that respect from Boba. So he is, hey man, I'm a very big blue cowboy alien guy right here. Got to go with the name I gave him, right? But that's my boy. But before he ever entered into the picture, Boba Fett was my guy growing up. So yeah, I'm with you. They can teeter because there's more. There's a lot of nostalgia for Boba Fett. He's such a cool character, man.
Man, and it's so awesome too that George wanted Boba and Vader to be brothers, like in the original script. So, like, could you imagine? And Boba was supposed to have the all white prototype armor to make them contrast, with Vader being the dark and Boba being the light. Pretty cool. I mean, that's a cool little concept, and I mean, prototype Vader. We know who that is, So that's a really cool thing for me. But hey, with Cad Bane after Tales of the Underworld, is he still your favorite?
Cad Bane is a character that sets foot in the hostage crisis episode from season 1 of Clone Wars. What a finale. And I, I never looked back. That dude has been a rock for me over the years. And really what it comes down to is badassery. I've never been able to relate to him or anything of that nature. I'm not slick like him, right? Because he's the type of guy to say something slick and then hit a lick and then, got 5 shots in you and he's dashing, dude. And he's grabbing todo and he's disrespecting people. And that's not me, right? But there was just something so cool about this guy. And Book of Boba Fett solidified that even more. Bad Batch, doubled down, tripled down, straight jacket me to be like, I'm a Cad Bane fanatic, dude. So Tales of the Underworld comes out. Feel like it's made for you and me. Quinlan Voss, Cad Bane, dude. This is us. It's crazy. And I didn't have a lot of expectations about the whole show. And I walked away and I was like, man, dude, I've always loved this character. Never been able to relate to him. But until now, man. So they gave me some nuggets that I really connect with. And I'm not always big on making a villain a tragic villain or making you try to fall in love with them. Sometimes I do just like somebody who is evil for the sake of evil, and that's just kind of their shtick. I like a guy with a tight gimmick sometimes, and I'm really grateful that they found a way to humanize him, but you do not really sympathize with him. His friend Nero, that guy's more of a hero than Cad Bane will ever be to me personally. Yeah. But when he steps up on screen, I do get a little excited. And so probably my favorite thing about Tales of the Underworld is the box arc from Clone Wars. That's my favorite Cad Bane content, straight up. I love that. And one of my favorite things that I loved was how skeptical Cad Bane was of Rako Hardeen, Obi-Wan in disguise, and I know something didn't smell right about you, Hardeen. Like all these little this guy knows too much, man. And he was always skeptical. And obviously in the end he gets betrayed, very Scooby-Doo-esque, right? And Tales of the Underworld, I feel like that's where it starts. He gets betrayed by his homegirl Aaron, and gets locked away for that. So what happens in the box arc? He gets betrayed by somebody that was a comrade, goes back to prison until whenever he breaks out for Bad Batch. So yeah, there was some great stuff in there. How about you, man? I'm gonna guess it's Quinlan, but especially with that Cad Bane arc, what's some of your favorite stuff to come out of Tales of the Underworld?
Dude. So yeah, so May 4th, I'm like, well, and I'll go with Cad Bane right away. Dude, that arc was just insane. Just to know that he, was once just a little kid doing kid shit with his friend. I mean, running the streets. And then it seemed like, there was much parents in the picture. And it's just, they're kids being kids. And man, you fall in love with the aspect of their friendship. They want things, they want the crunchies. Simple it is, they're kids, once they get older, you're dealing with older characters. Maybe they want credits, maybe they want peace, maybe they want, democracy. We see that a lot in Star Wars, but simply they want some candy. So I mean, just seeing them doing whatever they can to obtain this mission. Oh man, Andy's mints, boy, man. The only time I feel like I can get them is going to Olive Garden or something, I never find them at a Walmart or find time to get them at Walmart or Dillon's or anything. But yeah, Andy's mints, those are some slaps. Yeah, so like when they go to the second episode, after they split up, I'm like, man, so are they going to come back somehow? Are the friends going to meet? Like, what's going on? So eventually, it all leads up to Cad Bane having a significant other, taking on the embodiment of Laszlo. And I was just like, wow, so this is where it all started. He wanted to be like the guy who took him in. And it's crazy he's paying homage to someone, who's helping him become something that's not that great, for a good cause. But Star Wars is all from a certain point of view, which I love that aspect, and we see a lot of that in Andor. That's off to the side, anyways. But yes, I mean, absolutely love what Cad Bane goes through, what he endures, and ultimately he gets arrested, goes up against his friend, and I just thought that was very sad. But by the third episode, understanding that Aaron was pregnant with Cad Bane's kid, um, I'm not gonna lie, man, when he, killed Nero in front of him and looked him in the eyes, his own son, and walked away, I was like, bro, like, no, 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 no. And then I'm thinking, wait, so you have no problem stealing kids, but you can't steal your own kid. Like, well, come on, bro. And of course, me being the dad I am, I mean, it's just it's tough seeing that, and it's crazy how, the things with Luke and Leia, even Leia and or Luke and Vader's dialogue at the end of Return of the Jedi. I'm like, fuck, dude, I see it from a dad's perspective now, and like, when you're young, you think you're Luke talking to your dad. I mean, I'd assume that our parents aren't anything like Vader was, ruling an empire. But I mean, that's the thing. It's supposed to connect to you. But yeah, I mean, dude, that Cad Bane arc had me feeling goofy, man. I was just like, this ain't right. But I will say I felt the back of my eyes getting a little watery, and I was like, all right, we can't do this right now. It's 10 a.m. It's in the morning, just had my coffee. I'm getting right for the day. Yeah. But I will say with Quinlan Voss and like the Dark Disciple ending coming to fruition in animation, absolutely loved it. I think that I mean, me, man. I'm not going to waste my breath. I think it's coming. Quinlan and Asajj show, absolutely would love that. But at the same time, I think me knowing some individuals who went to Star Wars Celebration Japan, one of them had told me that, hey, Quinlan Voss is in the first episode, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, bro. I was like, May 4th cannot come soon enough. This is crazy. And then me being the guy I am, I don't even play Fortnite. My homies play Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. But once they said May 2nd, stream the first 2 episodes for free on Fortnite, I'm a fan of Fortnite. So here we are. I'm loaded up in Fortnite. As soon as I get home from my day shift, I'm looking at my TV and I'm seeing Quinlan Voss on screen, and I'm like, what the, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like,
Yeah.
what is going on right now? And I'm sitting there just kind of like crooked a little bit, making sure my ear is pointed towards the speakers, and I'm just like listening to everything. I'm taking it in. Just seeing Quinlan, just seeing Kenobi, my favorite character, and just seeing Asajj Ventress. And it's cool when you see a book come to life. I'm not the biggest fan of reading. But when I see a movie or a movie adaptation, I fall in love with it. So, I mean, it was good to see that. So, I mean, Tales of the Underworld, to me, in my opinion, is the best Tales of series. Now, I do know Jedi was great. I do know Underworld was good. But I mean, Underworld, I feel like it has everything wide open. And we learn more about Cad Bane. We learn why he is who he is. And we understand why Asajj Ventress is not dead. So, I mean, it's good, and everything's left up in the air. It can continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think the Asajj stuff has really good legs to appear in something else. I do think that the Cad Bane arc, I don't want to call it like a cul-de-sac. I feel like it reaches some sort of dead end of like, okay, we kind of establish why he is so heartless that he can steal other people's kids, these force sensitive children, because he doesn't mind murking a guy in front of his own kid and ditching his own kid. So why would he give a rat's bottom about some other person's kid? I think they did a really good job kind of saying, hey, this one was heartless dudes in the galaxy. Why is that? But I don't, I think he has a really good opportunity to show up in the show, like the Mall show. I feel like seedy underworld stuff, it's there. But I do think the imprint that Tales of the Underworld gives me personally is setting up some sort of conflict for Darth Maul and the supposed Darth Talon that's going to be rocking with him in that show. I forget the name of Asajj Ventress's new apprentice or Padawan.
Lyco.
Thank you, Lyco. So we have Lyco and Talon, perhaps that could be kind of cool. So I like that as far as possibilities. The Morgan Elsbeth stuff, Tales of the Empire, I also feel like that was kind of a dead end. It's like, okay, she was, if you really want to look at it this way, she was the main villain of Ahsoka season 1. Depends on how you want to look at it. And we don't really know much about her, how she came about, what's up with the throne. So that also is like, okay, we're explaining something, but where's the dead end? But then you also have the Barriss stuff, which I do feel like could also tie into the small show. So I don't know. I feel like with both of those series, I think I'm ready to reanalyze them in the future and re-rank them depending on where we see that stuff enter again. But as it stands right now, I do think Tales of the Underworld is just a really good overall Tales of series. Both arcs solid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think not Morgan Elsbeth is like one of those like low key, like, okay, she might be like, she, for some reason, she might be like a top 40 character, and she's like right there. You know what I'm saying? There's so many characters, and to think like, oh man, 40, like, no, like she's up there. Diana Lee Inosanto, she kills it. I think it's really cool. That she gets to bring her martial arts action to Star Wars, which is really cool. And plus, like, I mean, she was a night sister on Dathomir, man, and seeing Grievous again, chop everyone up. Like, she was the last of her kind. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's crazy to see like where all of this stems from. It makes sense why she was on Corvus. It makes sense why Ahsoka was trying to take her down. And it's cool that we get to see Corvus before it is what it is when we see it in Mando season 2. So I mean, it's beautiful. I feel like right now in live action, no Morgan Elsbeth, no Ahsoka Tano. Because what would be the reason of bringing Ahsoka Tano to live action if it wasn't for Morgan Elsbeth and those the trouble going on Corvus? So I mean, it all makes sense. So I mean, a huge shout out to Morgan Elsbeth as a character for me. Hopefully they do something to where, I know we're bringing back characters from the dead. I get it. But we just saw like 80 stormtroopers come back from the dead with Night Sister magic. We just saw Asajj Ventress come back from Night Sister magic. Marak, we get to see him in Ahsoka as well. He died, but we see him going against Maul and Shadow Lord. So they can come back.
I just need to see Morgan Elsbeth look like a full-on mummy, dude. Just like maroon wraps from head to toe, the glowing eyes through it, and I feel like she could be the next reincarnation of Mother Taslin or something crazy like that.
Yes.
But if Moff Gideon can keep coming back, I think there's always potential for her to come back. But we kind of have ourselves an Ahsoka from Rebels situation where it's like you lost at the hand of Darth Vader in a Sith temple that's a super weapon. It doesn't get cooler than that. Like for Ahsoka, you cannot go out in a more badass way than losing to Darth Vader in a Sith temple, fending off so your friends can escape. Like that is such a powerful death. And then they change it, whether that's for you or not for you. It doesn't really matter right now, at least. But like with Morgan Elsbeth, I would argue that she also had like the greatest death imaginable. One of just the best deaths in Star Wars, the warrior's death, doing all this just to get Thrawn back, just to then sacrifice yourself for Thrawn because you believe in what he's going to do. You rather lay down your life than, watch him go on and prosper. I mean, she was used hardcore, man. And like textbook got used and but died with such purpose and lost at the hands of people of the likes of Sabine and Ezra and Ahsoka in an unknown galaxy far, far away. Dude, that is, if you're going to go out, yeah, man, that really is. It really is. So I don't know. Would I want to see her resurrected? I love Diana Lee Santo. So in a way, yes. It's like Moff Gideon. It's like, I love Giancarlo Esposito. So in a way, I want to see him come back. But I think her story had a really good ending, and I'd be so happy if they just kept it as such. How about you?
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see her come back. But at the same time, I feel like that would just kind of be an uproar. in the community. I will say you got me thinking. You know, the way she was used, it was amazing. Almost gave me goosebumps to see Thrawn tell her for the Empire, and then once he
Yeah.
walks away for Dathomir, I'm like, man, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
dude.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you know, if you watch Tales of the Empire, that first episode is you know her basically giving the reason why she said that you know for Dathomir, because at that point it's just like, oh, okay, for Dathomir. Yeah, she's clearly a Night Sister, or you know was, and whatever. But I mean, that's what you got Tales of the Empire for, to enhance that. So that's what I love about Star Wars, man. And I really hope at some point we get I mean, it doesn't need to be as lengthy. I would love to have at least like 2 or 3 seasons of an animated show enhancing the sequel trilogy. Because I mean, there's such a huge gap between 6 and 7. You know, we got the Mandoverse in there, and really nothing. Well, Star Wars Resistance. I don't know if you've watched that, but I don't know if it takes place before or after the Last Jedi, maybe, or
It's
Force Awakens.
timeline wise, it's really tricky. Like season one, I think it goes right up to Starkiller Base blowing up the Hosnian system. And then I
Mm.
think when season two starts, it's like pretty much Last Jedi, the Battle of Dakwar type stuff. And I it's kind of hard to know where it ends. Does it get close to episode 9? It's hard to tell, but I would say, yeah, 7 and 8, maybe a little bit after 8. But I agree with you, man. I think that there definitely needs to be a show between at least 8 and 9. Do you remember Star Wars Kids, that YouTube channel where they would do those really cool anime, cartoon, Galaxy of Adventures stuff? Like,
Yes.
all right,
Yes.
dude, there's some great ones. I know we're Boba Fett fans. There's one where Boba Fett's just jetpacking all over and taking dudes out. I mean, dude, it's nuts. But I got to say, my favorite one is with Kylo Ren, and it's with his boys, the Knights of Ren. They all pull up in like a side profile, and Kylo Ren's leaping in action. It looks like he's almost on Pisana or something like that, and
Hmm.
he's just mowing down those Resistance troopers from like that 2015 battle pack, the Resistance troopers, which is such a
Oh,
cool
okay.
design with the helmet and the yellow visor, and I know they're in Battlefront too. So I feel like that is just something so epic. And I don't need my characters slaying down other characters to be cool, but there was a promise there of the Resistance feeling like a full-on faction, that if the troopers, the Knights of Ren, really pulling up, really showing what they're capable of. And just that minute and 30 seconds is so cool. And it leaves you wanting so much more. And I'm thirsty, Brandon. I'm thirsty for a, 8 and 9 animated show, dude.
Yeah, I would be so down for it. And I think that's what it needs. I mean, you look at those shows like we were talking about, like the Tales of series, it enhances, you know. We get to see what goes on with Dooku, you know, and he's in episode 2 and 3. You know, was the master of Qui-Gon Jinn. We get to see a young Qui-Gon. Everyone loves Qui-Gon. You know, so it's just like one of those things where it's just like it's all about the enhancement. And I think that's kind of what Disney's goal is. You know, I don't me personally, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is destroying Star Wars. I think that's just very far fetched and just kind of it just doesn't really make sense. It's just kind of more of like a, well, who can we blame, you know? So um I mean, yeah, I mean things, and not to get too political, but you know, when things go bad, you know, it's we blame the president, you know, and it's no matter who's in office. I mean, we could have Emperor Palpatine in office, we could have, you know, Padme Amidala in office. If anything goes bad, they're each going to get blamed. That's just how it is when you're, you know, the name. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is at Disney. But I mean, I love what goes on because I mean, the last thing I had as a Star Wars fan was Clone Wars, and I mean, what, 6 movies and Clone Wars? Cool, you know, like more. I want more. What happens to Luke after, you know, episode 6? What happens to Han? Why is Qui-Gon, you know, the way he is? You know, so I need to know before and after and during, and that's what Disney's doing. I think, you know, they're really trying to enhance George Lucas's Star Wars.
I think so. And there was a narrative for a long time of like, well, they should just go way outside the bounds of episode 9, crazy other part of the timeline, or they should go way before Phantom Menace. Well, okay, so they tried. They did it with the Acolyte. I understand that wasn't thousands of years before Phantom Menace, like people really wanted, like going way, like even further than the Old Republic. But they tried it, and people still grilled them for it. They're now talking about this Rey trilogy or the Star Wars Starfighter movie that's going to be after Episode 9, and then people are saying that they don't care. So where in the timeline do you want to have Disney mess around with? Every time they do something between 3 and 4, people say, "Man, we've been seeing this. This has been done before." But then we get that mall show, which is in between 3 and 4, and it's like it's totally cool. So there definitely is a push and pull, a teeter totter of where fans feel like Star Wars should go next in the timeline, where Disney can't screw things up. But with the Star Wars, with the continuing timeline, that's what we love about Star Wars, man. That's what you were saying. Star Wars is probably the greatest story ever told. And it is because it's one big span, except for some legend stuff. Always bit of truth in legends, though. And because it's this big continuum, it's just so much fun just to pick a spot and then follow it and get invested as you go. And I feel like nowhere is safe as far as Disney wanting to start in a timeline, and that's okay because there shouldn't be a starting place for them. Just go where you think there's a good story, and yeah, maybe some are going to be better than others, but I don't think there's a place in that timeline that is safe for Disney to do their thing in. How about you, man? Like when you see a story announced, what is the most interesting time period for you? Is it that 8 and 9? Or is it in between 3 and 4, which there's a 19-year gap? Old Republic, where is your favorite timeline?
For me, I mean, the time era we grew up in, obviously we're prequel fans. So I love seeing things in between there. The tales of the Jedi, that was cool in there. Leading after the events of Order 66. I always wanted to know what happened with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I actually watched episode 3, 4, 5, and 6 today of the Kenobi series.
Wow.
Yeah, just went ahead and did like a little 3-hour binge of that. And it holds up really well. I love that time, right between 10 years after, Revenge of the Sith, seeing Vader, seeing Obi-Wan, young Leia. It's really cool to see those characters. And it's what's really cool to see about them is it's where the timeline is, understanding that, Leia in 10 years will be leading the rebellion into blowing up a Death Star. And cool to see young Luke as well. And it's just like, oh, so this is what they were up to before these times going into the original trilogy. So I think my answer right there would be, I love this sweet spot between 3 and 4. And it doesn't help that we get the Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor games that set, time here. The Bad Batch is another great series that is between this time. Maul, Shadow Lord, Andor is one of those things that it's very critically acclaimed, and it's doing things numbers wise that no TV show in existence has done. So, and it's really cool to know that that's in our ballpark with Star Wars, and it's pretty exhilarating to know that something to that caliber falls into the timeline that most Star Wars fans enjoy, like myself. But I mean, hopes. I want to explore a little bit more in 7, 8, 9 in the sequel trilogy. I want it to be brought up just a little bit more, give us some more answers. You see it in the Mandalorian with Project Necromancer, even stemming back to the Bad Batch. So I mean, it's a good little hint that they're trying to work in that area, but at the same time, let's go back. I'm ready for Dawn of the Jedi. I think going back like 10,000 years, I believe, is where this starts, before the Phantom Menace, which is insane because it's like, what do they have, like wooden sticks? Is this what they're fighting with? It's like, come on, dude. The materials are just not there. Maybe they are, but I mean, like I've said before, also, the antagonist that you go against in Jedi Survivor, Dagan,
Mhm.
the one-armed guy, like it was weird to see his flashbacks because it was like, oh my god, this is way back in the day, seeing his flashbacks and what they went through. So that would be a very interesting time to see Star Wars. But yeah, man, I think that's where I sit. Give me some time. The 19 years between Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope. It's probably got to be my favorite.
I like it. I like it, man. Yeah, it's. I've always been curious by High Republic, Old Republic, 10,000 years before Phantom Menace, because the design aesthetic I really do feel is very different. And for me, with what I do in terms of Carbonites, it's very important to get my hands on as many visual dictionaries as I can. And there's a beautiful one for Star Wars: The Old Republic. This is the MMO. This is the one from 2015, I think. And or I'm sorry, not 2015, like 2010, 2011, 2012, something in that range. The one with Malgus.
Oh, okay.
And Visual Encyclopedia is just gorgeous. I actually have this just casually sitting right here. It's this High Republic art of, and
Ooh.
getting to see some of those designs of these characters that you don't really have a good look at otherwise is really important. Again, for me in terms of Carbonites and making sure that things are accurate. You're seeing all the different angles, but there's so much fun to flip through because it's like the greatest standing catalog of characters never seen before, except for books and all these things. Video games, maybe one day, like you said with Dagon, and a little bit of Acolyte, but it really does feel like a treasure trove of all these cool background aliens that, like, you don't know what their story is. You can barely pronounce their name, but the head starts going. You get the canon going. It's like, man, I want to just create stories with these guys. And I'm really curious in terms of Carbonites if that's a place I should start exploring. I think the answer is yes. And I'm open to feedback on that. But, do people really want characters that they know? And when they see the character, they go, man, I know everything there is to know about this guy right here. I know what he did, some of the awful things that this guy did, especially when he's wearing this outfit. And, recreate those things because you're so invested in the character? Or do you want these characters that you don't know anything about? Like, we'll just grab, I don't know, this dude right here. And let's see, I named him the Scared Young Samurai Boy One. And he's just a background whatever, from a certain scene without getting too specific. You can create your own story with him. And when I look at some of these visual dictionaries, I'm like, man, there's so many characters that I wonder if people would create their own stories, or if they're like, oh man, I don't know who that is. I don't really want anything to do with it. What's your take? And also, just in terms of Carbonites, now that you are a collector, what kind of cases do you like to pull for? Do you like more of these scene recreation cases? Do you like the more like Lego route with battle packs, like the Endor battle pack from 2012, where you have the scout troopers on Endor and then also the rebel Endor troopers? Or do you like, not to give you too many options, or do you like the faction packs where it's like, yo, there's no bad guys in the pack, but you get a whole completed set of a certain group, and then maybe you then go and buy the pack for these guys to then fight against.
Right.
What do you, from a feedback perspective, what's really working with you in Carbonites, and where do you think we go next in the timeline?
Man, so to answer that question, for me, I would definitely like let's just compare it to Lego. So the diorama sets, I'm a fiend, man. I love the scenes, and I think every single diorama set that's been out, the Mos Espa, um, pod race scene. We got the final duel on the Death Star between Luke and Vader. The Dagobah training, like the list goes on. Like all of the ones that they've come out with, they hit. So for me, in the three cases I have, they're all different. So, which is really cool that you asked that question because they all each have different answers. So, like for the unlimited power, the one right here, if you follow me on Instagram, you guys have definitely seen this. And this pack right here is from a very electric scene in episode 3. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Unlimited power. And, just like my guy Vincent did, Palpatine, it's what he screams. This is this is what drives to, the original trilogy and all the time in between. This moment right here defines the movie. So this is basically, when we have all of these characters alive, Anakin is still Anakin Skywalker. Moments after some of these characters are unalived, Darth Vader's born. So I mean, this pack right here to me is something I'm like, wow. I mean, this is strictly because of the scene. And I'm glad I pulled this one first because in my opinion, um like I said, my opinion, this is the best case that Carbonites has to offer. I will say that if whatever you're into, I mean, you can find your favorites as well, but this scene, calls to me. So this set is definitely my number one. Um, Going into this right here, the nice gift that you've given me of the Spice Syndicate from the Book of Boba Fett. Absolutely love this case as well. And this right here is kind of more of that battle pack look that you're talking about. So this one right here, I mean, you get Cad Bane obviously being the highlight. We have kind of like the I can't remember his name, but this is the commander that you get here of the Pike Syndicate. And if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, unless you like the Pikes for some reason, I mean, this dude sucked. It was really cool to see Fennec get her get back at the end of this. But I mean, it looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, but this character was just not the coolest dude on the galaxy far, far away. But these right here, I mean, you're getting the different, Pike troopers right here, and they all look different in a way. Talking about battle packs with Lego, some of them, you get 3 snow troopers, you get 3 or you get 4 332nd battle troopers. I mean, they all look the same, but these right here are all different. So if we're talking the battle pack route, this is where you want to be if you're collecting Carbonites and you want the battle pack. I mean, these are set up perfectly for that. And just like the clone troopers you had, all the different colors, you get those and get some rebel troopers to go up. I mean, you have a battle right there. But then right here, this is the, if you could start 6, this is the starting 6 right here of Book of Boba Fett. We got 2 Gamorrean guards. You got Boba Fett himself, right here, the daimyo, and you got Mando with the dark saber, and then of course you got Black Chrysanthemum and Fennec Shand. So I mean, this right here is the highlight pack. You get Boba Fett, the main guy. You get the kind of the spin-off, which a lot of people don't understand that about Book of Boba Fett. Is they're like, oh, Mando gets his own episodes and steals it from him. Well, look at the title, guys. The Book of Boba Fett. This is a part of the Mandalorian. It's just from Boba's side. So this makes it tie in. That's just me. Come on. It's awesome. Those were the best episodes, man. But
they truly were, for better or for worse. They were electric. Yeah.
Yeah, 1000%. And that's the thing is, like, you add these characters. These are the main people in Book of Boba Fett, one of my favorite shows. And not to mention, dude, the Gamorrean guards. I mean, there's 2 of them, yes. Could have easily copy and pasted them, but if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, one has headgear and the other doesn't. And you get that right here with this pack. And I would say I would show those in person, but they're actually up. If you look at the Star Wars sign, I have actually seen people with Lego minifigs stacking them up there and kind of making it look like the Marvel logo from Lego. So for me right now, I have the Book of Boba Fett Daimyo's Court on right above, and then I have the Unlimited Power group of 6 stacked right on top of them. So I actually, if I can pull this up real quick, I have something ultra cool to show you guys.
From Jenga blocks to then sitting on top of a Star Wars LED light up logo.
Yeah.
It's just, or when people put them next to their Hot Toys, I'm like, there isn't a bar higher than Hot Toys. Like that's as high of an honor as it gets. That's high real estate. Just like on top of that Star Wars logo. Like, dude, that's high real estate, man. And you're awesome, man. You're awesome for it.
That's bro.
Cool. That's fucking cool.
That's the thing though, is they look awesome. Which we can resume now. But yeah, that's the thing too with like carbonites is like it's cool. Like at first, what I wanted to do when I got my packs was because I had 12. The first time I got carbonites, like I had 12. So I had quite a bit. Um, and I wanted to like sprinkle them across the room. I mean, I've already shot a photo with, lining up the unlimited power group and being like, okay, we're recreating the scene right now, which I'm a fan of, and I can't set them up like that yet. But what I'm thinking is creating or just getting a thin floating wall shelf and starting to set them up by pack. And some Funko collectors per se, and this is kind of what I get the inspiration from, is they have the box and right in front of the box is the figure. So I was thinking about lining them up long ways. So you get the title, you get the figures here in display, and obviously the signature of the creator, the old Johnny Hancock right here, and setting up the figures right in front of it. So, I mean, that would be a cool look. I'm also a display freak. Like I said, like in the very first Carbonites review I did, the Death Star Biddy Pop little like shelf holder, the carbonite fits perfect right in there. So I mean, that it's just all in fun, but I'm a huge display guy. I always want to figure out how to display the things I get. So yeah, I mean, and plus like that's my thing too, is just like when I was telling the Cantina boys, I'm like, look dude, like these things are so like you can put them anywhere. Like they're small enough to where they can fit in any collection. That was like the main thing I was pushing too, is it's just like, dude, look, like it's Funkos that takes up space, takes up wall space. You see it behind me. Legos that does the same thing. I mean, you got room to sprinkle in some carbonites.
Dude, well, you mentioned Clantina, so I would be remiss if I did not shout out Misa Bricks, Dakota Bricks. I forget if he's part of the crew, but I think he found out about
He's a
it.
friend of the crew.
There it is. Okay. Commander Broski, Commander J Bricks, GG Bricks, and Brickley Bugle. I hope I got everybody.
Yep, you got them all.
Let me tell you something, man. You put all of them on the carbonites, and I love the breadcrumbs that it leaves. So I meet you. You decide to give carbonites a shot, and God bless you for doing so. Then all those guys, I hopped on one of your streams just a comment, and you're like, "Oh, this is carbonites," and then I think it was Misa. He's like, "I haven't seen this guy around." Misa bought a pack of carbonites on that Clantina Chaos stream.
Yeah.
He showed it to the camera, which was like extra crazy, and I was like, "Wow, that really just happened." Days later, Commander J Bricks, I think, was the next one. And just, dude, one by one, domino effect. And how cool that, like, I can trace all of that back to you. And that's just a very special feeling for me to see the giant web of carbonites and the trickle down effect. And that's what I mean when I say you've really helped me. I don't think, whether it be the audience or just people realize the power of a video. I saw one of your videos on Instagram has 306,000 views talking about Count Dooku and Mace Windu squaring off
Yeah.
in their prime. And I know we don't get obsessed about views and things, but it's just you never know if it was that video of you talking about carbonites and it to that degree. I make the carbonites, and by the goodness of a lot of your hearts, you guys promote it for me, which is so cool. And that's something that I'll forever be grateful for. And it's just amazing that we're here now talking about it and seeing all the different ways people display them, like you're saying, whether it be the itty bitty pop Death Star display, which it does work surprisingly well. I call some of my customers supporters, because there's a page on my website, like Brandon, you're a supporter, and it's a page where you can share your review of carbonites if you want, or I can plug whatever it is that you're doing, whether it be on Instagram. I think I even plugged Commander J Bricks as whatnot. Like you're down to help me with buying carbonites or making a review. Any way I can return the love, I want to be able to do it. So there's a supporter page on the website, and if you click through some of those, you'll see how other people do display their carbonites. 212 Hunter, he has his displayed on like a spice rack, which is just kind of cool. And some people do the whole shadow box thing and they just stack them up high. I think Mr. Bricks is doing the shadow box look. Let's see. I have a friend who isn't on the website, but a personal friend who does one of those acrylic boxes that has like the built-in lights for them.
Mm.
It's just it's really kind of a cool thing to see how people display them, or just simply stacking them and then like wedging them into like a corner of a desk or something. It's pretty freaking cool. And I'll be honest, you guys give me new ideas too. I don't really have good storage for carbonites because they're ready to be shipped, or they're fresh out of production. It's either fresh out of the freezing chamber or they're already ready to go. So I keep them in some bins where they won't get color faded and they're pretty well protected. And then as far as the carbonites that are of my own personal collection, which really are the ones that I dirty or damage because I shoot videos with them. Like on Instagram, I took these guys outside and some of these P1 troopers right here, and you can't really see it on camera, but some of them have like little scuff marks because I took these guys up into the trees and did some really cool POV shots of like looking through binoculars and range finders, and just dropped them right now. So I like to keep the ones that maybe aren't as nice to ship out. And then like you, I just do a sprinkle test. I put them everywhere. And, but I do look forward to building like a proper display for them one day. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Is it's like, dude, like maybe like one day you can like kind of fit together like maybe a Carbonites exclusive shelf, you know, kind of like for instance, like M&R Productions with Lego. Like he'll make some of the shadow boxes or the cases and they're, you know, exclusive to him and his channel, his company, stuff like that. Like that would be a pretty cool thing.
So these would have dropped Saturday, May 24th. And so they're already out. You can buy them. They are, every carbonite, by the way, is $14.99, and it includes free shipping and a $1 charity donation. So if you do, you know, the subtraction, it's really around like $8-9 is really what you're paying for to get 6 figurines. Small businesses typically are a little bit more on the expensive side. It can be kind of hard to support. It could be hard to support small business because if you're like me and you're fresh out of college, it's typically more expensive. I took that into consideration and definitely support small business, but I want these to be cost effective for you as well, because you're taking a gamble on trying carbonites when there's so many other collectibles to go after. So yes, this is right here. This is Cadet Squad. And Brandon, I'll let you pull up the graphic as well. It is case number 38 in the TCW-S3-2010 category. It's kind of a mouthful, but you get 5 cadets in training, and then you get one guy, let's see, right here, this little guy. And I'll open him up. The GOAT. And I'll open him up in a minute. But Brandon, do you want to roll that graphic? It might be a better look at him, perhaps. So that was a fun graphic that I was able to put together. It is advertising an exclusive character who's in case 38, which is that Cadet Squad. It's a lovable character. That when you talk about characters from a galaxy far, far away, we were talking about great deaths earlier on with Morgan Elsbeth. And I mean, this is just one of those characters who goes out in one of the most brilliant ways as far as writing is concerned, but also in terms of heartbreak. And the name for this character is the True Soldier of the Republic, because I had to honor him in a way. So that cleanup on aisle 99 is both a little bit of some humor, but it's also tying in another case, which is the beauty of carbonites. Right. Those other 2 characters that you see behind the True Soldier of the Republic, you know, there's some white robots with targets on them. They almost look like they're target practice. And those would be some separatist soldiers training, as I call them. And that is a pack from this is the category name, EABF-2017. And, you know, historically, that's a case that doesn't sell too well, and that's a-okay. I made those out of love. But when you have these new cases that come into play, it does kind of bring to light older cases that I've made. And I'm on my 73rd case of Carbonites, which is 438 total characters. So anytime I can take one of those old cases, highlight them again, breathe new life into them, and say, hey, you can now get this one, and it goes really well with these characters over here. That's why I had so much fun with that graphic, was just melding those. But getting into the overall thumbnail of Cadet Squad, where you do see all 6 characters lined up, you know, they all have some numbers on them. They all are 1 through 5. Their names are Republic Cadet D 1 through 3. And I'll do a little 360 on camera so you can see what they look like in real time here. Here's a 360 of the True Soldier of the Republic. It's really a nice sand blue happening right here. And that's a big color that the Lego community loves, especially on Boba Fett's.
Yeah.
And then we have a Cadet Squad member right here. And, you know, there is a yellow visor, right? But underneath, you can see an expression. And on all 5 cadets, they all have very different expressions. So this guy, he'd be looking a little worried, just a little bit, but he's also pretty confident as well. Got the number 3 on the back and on the shoulder. And it's pretty much like that for all 5 Republic cadets. Brandon, before we jump into case 39, Ransack Battalion, you can be honest. How are you feeling about Cadet Squad?
Dude, you know, for me, I think, you know, it's a lot of those things once again where it's just like, oh yeah, we have the copy and paste again with the characters, but they're all different in their own way. You know, obviously we get them numbered 1 through 5. I think that's a really good look. But them all being similar shows the fact that they're all clones, which is awesome. You know, clone the true you know, commander of the Republic absolutely is the main guy for the set. So I mean, the way that he looks, you know, kind of knowing that he's you know, the way he is, it all makes sense to go up with these 5 clones here. So all looks good. I mean, all 6 are clones, and man, they just I'm liking this pack. I'm liking this pack. Kind of takes me back to that episode.
Yeah, you know, I feel like artists can relate to this. One of the hardest things with Carbonites in particular, and every business has their trials and tribulations. This is a very good problem to have because it pushes me as an artist. Carbonites are inherently chibi. They're both a caricature, but they're also a cutified version of, you know, the actual thing. Kind of like how Funko or Lego, you know, I'm thinking about that Ezra minifigure from the Battle on Peridia. That boy got them soul suckers, dude. He got them light blue eyes, and it's baby blues and them soul searchers. And like, it's accurate, but it's also taking some liberties as well, you know. And I love that. I love stylized characters. It's always just worked for me. I think that's why I'm such a big fan growing up with Galactic Heroes. Like, this is my Star Wars right here. This is what I grew up on. I love the stylized Star Wars. And in terms of Carbonites, being inspired by all of that, making a character like the True Soldier of the Republic is very hard to make him look cute when he's not exactly the most cute looking dude. And that really comes down to he's a bad batcher. You know, he had some deformities, and it's both what made him memorable and such a riveting character, but it's also what makes him hard to cutify. So I do hope that the people that go after Cadet Squad, they really do enjoy how I went about that character in specific. And even going to the case you have with unlimited power, right? And you have the sinister overlord of the Space Republic. I won't make you go fetch it, but that's also one of these characters who got the wrinkles going on. He is such a kind of like this crazy expression, like this dude's gonna wild out and just stab somebody at any given moment. And how do you cutify that? And there's been many examples of it in the past. And this is just perhaps the latest iteration of it. And then, yeah, rolling into the next graphic, we got Ransack Battalion, which is case number 39. This is one that was actually, you can call it a collaboration. I'll call it a fan requested case. There's a YouTuber by the name of Blitz Transmissions. He's one of those early adopters of Carbonites. It was guys like Ham Slammer on YouTube, guys like Hybrid Toy Reviews, and Blitz Transmissions, and another podcast group called Brown Squadron, or Hyperspace Heroes, they also go by. Those four really were these early adopters of Carbonites, and they really saw something with it. And Tommy from Blitz Transmissions, his mascot is ARC Trooper Blitz. So I wanted to do an inspired by character based off of that, but also just based off of his logo in general. And you get what you see before you with this graphic of Ransack Battalion. Now, this is also a case that goes extremely well with Cadet Squad and also those training Separatist soldiers. And yeah, that fourth Carbonite in from the left, that's a very special one. And I'm looking forward to Blitz Transmissions review of Ransack Battalion. It's been really great getting to talk with him about the character. And he is even 501st certified. And he has a ARC Trooper Blitz costume. And, you know, again, there's just certain angles that are very hard to find on the internet of certain characters. So even talking with him about the, you know, artistic liberties he took with the costume and then incorporating that into the Carbonite. And the name for that Carbonite in particular is the P2 Pittsburgh Republic Advanced Trooper. And going down the lineup of all of them from the left to the right, let's see, I actually got the case right here. So I will show these to you live on air. We'll take down the graphic for now, and I will show you them right here. So I'm actually going to open this one up. And so, yeah, this is what the spine looks like. And kind of like the Black Series, you know, the goal here is to create a mural. So if you get 38 and 39, almost like a good book, you can slide them together. I guess they're out of order. Let me, and they're going to go next to each other like that. And thanks, man. And obviously they slide on the shelf, nice and easy, really compact. You know, they're called Carbonites because they're rectangular prisms. But when it comes to the boxes, they're more like the dimensions of a slab of Carbonite. You know, they're thin on the side, but then rectangular in the front. And they house these characters like sardines, man. Let me tell you, although they don't smell like sardines, they smell like that mint in box. They're nice and fresh. So when you open a case of Carbonites up, typically it's going to have a letter. And if you've seen any of Brandon's reviews of Carbonites, you know that it's a personalized letter. It thanks you for your charity donation. It notes what charity it went to. We have one of 3. And it also says the date. And if I'm feeling funny that day, I'll also draw you a little sketch on there as well. Just something to make the whole experience feel more personalized. Once you remove that card, it'll typically be a certificate of supporter status, which is a little something I do just to say thank you. You know, thank you for being a supporter of Carbonites. And typically it'll include a commemorative Carbonite if it is in fact your very first purchase of Carbonites, which is just like a mini sized down version of this big guy right here, the mascot. But then looking at the case itself, we got all 6 of them, and they are in there. They are, like Brandon, I'm sure you know, like when you get a case of Carbonite, you almost have to like dump them out because they are just locked and loaded in there.
Yeah, you kind of gotta, you open it and you're just like, all right, well, now how do I get these out? So usually what I do is right here on the lip here, I'll just kind of pull one, and then now it's free. It's kind of like I can't remember that one game, but it's just, you know, trying to get the it's like a little maze game. You got to get from start to finish. You got to move the pieces around. That's basically what you do here. But yeah, I mean, you can also just slip out the mint and box, but I mean, that's the entire experience. How are you getting your Carbonites out?
Right? No, dude, that's so true. It's part of the journey. And like Brandon said, there is that mint and box, and this is really what this tube right here. This is what provides that buffer space, so your Carbonites aren't jumbling around. There's nothing worse than opening up a package from Walmart or Amazon and there was some weak bubble wrap going on, and that figure just be sliding and jangling around. Not the Carbonites. They are in there. So you do get the complimentary mint in box Han Solo and Carbonite mint. And going into the figures themselves, we have ourselves the Ransack Battalion Recon Trooper right here.
Clean.
Thank you, sir. Not the best at doing the rotating test. I got to get better at that. But then right here, we do have that's why Brandon reviews these and not me. We do have the P2 Chaos Republic Advanced Trooper. And it's not quite the 501 blue. It's a slightly different shade. But if you do have any of those cases, I do think, like, I'll tell you what, I'll pull up this guy right here. They're pretty comparable for those who are curious. Let's see here. What else we got? This is, I feel like, what most people will associate with this case. It is the P2 Indianapolis Republic Advanced Trooper right here. It's kind of a off red, almost like a salmony color, and then it's like a Wolfpack steel blue happening here. So there is a little missile on the forearm there, and there's even a comm link and everything. So it's an updated trooper template. It certainly is one for the collection if you're collecting these Republic troopers. And then just to kind of speed this up here, we do have the Blitz Transmissions official Carbonite right here. And, Blitz Transmission, he requested this case. And I encourage anybody who's watching this to do the same. If you like Star Wars, you want to see these characters made, they're not going to be like how Star Wars does it. These are inspired by, this is, my own original artwork, but I'll do my best to make it a character that you recognize and go, dang, that's kind of cool. As long as you can get behind the style of Carbonites, I think there could be something in there for everybody. So this is what the bottom says. It's almost like a little business card. It says logo and then Blitz Transmissions on YouTube and Instagram. So, and then lastly, we do have the P2 Sickle Republic Advanced Trooper right here. Yeah, this one's clean.
That red goes crazy with the gray.
Right? Thanks, man. So that's what's going on with Carbonites. Typically, we try to drop one case of Carbonites 1 to 2 weeks at a time. And that's 6 brand new characters every 1 or 2 weeks. But with this case, because there is a lot of reuse, kind of like what you were talking about, they're different, but it's a lot of reuse of certain templates. I decided let's drop 2 cases just so it doesn't feel, I don't know if half-assed is the right word. That's not very professional for me to say that, but
for sure.
I thought that would be a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool to see, you as the creator and the maker, thank the maker. We get to see these from your POV. We as consumers see them a certain way. And like right here, like me having them is cool. It's one thing, but seeing you with them as well is it's a cool thing. It's kind of like if Michael Jordan was to be like, hey, so like here's my Jordan 4, 5, and 6s. Let me show you. Like that's dope. I want Jordan to tell me about retro Jordan sneakers instead of someone else. So that's kind of where I stand with it, man. That's a really cool demonstration of what we got and what we have to come from you too.
Well, thank you. And thanks for giving me a platform to advertise that. I'm incredibly lucky just to have the opportunity because this is rare. I think that's actually my first time on camera I've ever did a unboxing/review. So coming from you, that definitely means something because we were all given different talents on this earth and different gifts. And, I'll be honest, it takes a lot for me to work up coming on a podcast. It's not one of those things that I don't feel like I've mastered. I don't think really anybody of us have. It's always something that we're learning and growing with, but it's certainly not in my wheelhouse. So, there's certain people that have been given this incredible gift. And for me, maybe it's creating these guys and providing simple joys like that. And for you, Brandon, you got an incredible gift to be able to present something to somebody and to be able to describe it such a T and to be able to sway them on a yes or no. But also just providing such a knowledge set behind it as well. is so cool. Like watching you review Carbonites for the first time, the Spice Syndicate and the Daimyo's Court set. You know, you have never seen a Carbonite before. You've never held a Carbonite. There's so much discovery in that first review that you made, and you're finding out for yourself, and the audience is learning right as you are, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, for sure. And speaking of self-discovery, I did send you another preview, and this is a case that is yet to even be released. This is a case that'll come out one day. It is definitely pipelined, but it's also not final. It's not official. There is still a character on the far right, the sixth character in, to be exact, who does need to be reworked. None of these characters have names just yet, but the case itself does have a title, and it is case 01 in the ROTS 2005 category. That'll be the 7th or 8th case in that category, I now believe. And the case title is the best opening ever, because this is a rare instance where I get to stake my claim in something, and it's controversial as far as the name's concerned. Not everybody's going to agree, but for me, this is my cheeky way of getting to flex just how much I love that opening scene, and it's wonderful. So how do you feel about this new case?
Dude, when I see this one, I'm like, all I hear is R2 hit the buzz droid center eye. That's all I hear right away. So
Yes.
either that or Oddball, do you copy? I remember hitting you in the DM, you know, when you sent this, and I'm like, boom, this is what I'm thinking of. But I mean, yeah, dude, it's the best opening ever. If you went and saw Revenge of the Sith in the theater, or if you got a decent little sound system at your house, you hear the bass thumping more than a Metro Boomin song. I mean, the drums coming in, the boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's amazing. It's simply the best opening ever. So yeah, I mean, it's very fitting. It makes sense. Plus, I love the red, the brown, and the little bit of like the tan orange on the spine of the box too. It just makes all the characters pop.
You know, that's something that I've noticed with Black Series. And by the way, talented people. Man, I love a good Black Series figure. I truly do. There is nothing like getting a Black Series figure at Walmart or in the mail. You know, I am a collector of a great many things, that being one of them. But a frustration that I have, and I don't want to get into my frustrations, because I love to celebrate toys. And I love to celebrate Star Wars above all else. But a frustration as a collector is, you know, they have a Gaming Greats line. And that line is like an electric blue color on the mural. And then they have the Ahsoka series, which is also like an electric blue color, but it's more of like an aqua, like a true Little Mermaid aqua color. And then you also have the Kenobi series. And I've loved collecting that line. So many cool figures. But that one, and as you giggled, because I think you know where I'm going with this, it's also a light blue, but it's more of like a softer pale blue. But when you line these boxes up together, it looks like they could meld, and they're all from the same line. You know, there's many colors on the rainbow. You know how many, you know, shades of gray there are. But when it comes to Star Wars, they chose very much like your Roy G. Biv colors. They chose your primaries and your secondaries and your tertiaries. And it's kind of clear that they're running out of options. Yes, they've not sprung for the hot pink yet, right? The Rebels is like the really cool, like royal purple color, and there isn't like a lavender yet, you know. So there's options, but as many Star Wars projects as there are, eventually you are going to paint yourself into a corner, and you are going to run out of colors to be able to distinguish from each series. Because of that, with Carbonites, something I was very big on with the packaging is to have 3 stripes. So I don't know if my camera's going to pick up on this, but we'll cut the graphic and we'll go back to this just for a minute. You might be able to tell, but there's 3 shades of yellow on the TCW 2008 to 2020 packaging. And then for the EABF2 2017 packaging, there's 3 different shades of purple, almost giving like a holographic effect. But then there's other cases like the ROTS 2005 that you were talking about, like in that graphic that we can now go back to. You know, it is like a like a brown, like a mocha, and then it's like a maroon or a very like rustic red, and then a burnt orange. So they are, the likelihood of running into a corner where I painted myself, where we have another project that has those exact three colors, is very rare. That brown will be used again, that red will be used again, that orange will be used again, but never all in conjunction to one another. So the goal here was to organize carbonites in such a way to do three colors to represent a series opposed to one. So there is no misconstruing which series it is from.
Mm. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and it's like how you think with the Carbonite characters is reusing them. It's just the same with the colors. You know, you can still use that same shade of the forest green, but you'll put it like probably more than so on the second line rather than the third because you just used it in a previous box. So I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And plus, that all ties back to that being your your little brand with Carbonites. You know, you're sticking true to your image. So yeah, that makes sense too, man.
Thank you. It does involve a certain amount of like, hey, what colors do represent this project? And for everybody, it's going to be different. Like, I'm just going to try to think of a movie. Let's go Tron Legacy. What are like there's really two colors that come to mind immediately, but if you had to go with the third color to represent Tron Legacy, what would be the three colors you would choose?
For me, when I see it in my mind, I'm thinking of like a black, a blue, and a pink, maybe.
Yeah.
Just kind of like neon, like
Yes.
bright colors.
Yeah. In this case, we had a match. I was also thinking that maybe with pink, I would skew more towards like a bright orangish pink. Yes, exactly. Like the neons, the black being the big contrast, 1,000%. And I understand that I might choose something that might not, mesh well with somebody. But when I do look at the Rebels line for Black Series, when I think of Star Wars Rebels, I do think of like a bright orange, perhaps. Maybe it's because of the spell out. Maybe it's because a lot of the characters, there's like your greens and your browns, but your oranges and your yellows across the characters and your purples. Like Zeb and Sabine have purple, but purple is what they went with to represent the entire Rebels line. And I don't think of purple when I think of Star Wars Rebels. So it is tricky. Everybody does see color very, very differently. So a really cool resource. Have you ever heard of From.com?
Huh.
All right, so From is, I think the guy started out on Etsy. Now he's gotten big enough that he has his own shop. And what he does is he takes a cell from like a film and he compiles all the different like cells from a film, puts it on like one big canvas, and it looks like a barcode. And there's all these like lines that represent a movie. And when you step back and you look at it and when you're presented with these colors, hopefully it invokes that film. So if you're going Blade Runner 2049, it's a lot of like a hazy yellow with an orange and then like a black. And it's a really cool experiment as far as color theory is concerned, and also what we associate that movie with in terms of color. Then you go to Monsters Inc. and it's a throw up of rainbow colors. So that absolutely was a resource, and helping determine certain categories, going to From, extracting those cells, and then compiling them, tallying up what cell had the most color represented, and then do
Yeah.
those three colors represent that movie. That is the kind of research that goes into determining the ribbon, the three stripe to represent each category for carbonite. So shout out to From. I can't take the credit on that one. It's been an honor, Brandon. I think you're a wonderful creator within this space. I think you're a real shining light. I think the people that you surround yourself with, I'm not talking about myself. I mean the Clantina guys, the other gentlemen you host your Andor reviews with,
Mm.
even just the people that I've now learned about through you via your conversations. Dude, it's wonderful. I'm a designer. I need things to listen to. And what I've discovered with you is just a really down-to-earth guy who loves Star Wars, and you don't get caught up in the weeds of, what you don't like. I love that you're passionate about Star Wars. It's beautiful that we got to talk about carbonites. Thank you very much for allowing me. And dude, keep on keeping on. I really believe in what you're doing, and you're refreshing. I don't know if you've heard that. You're just a refreshing person. And the amount of content you put out is it's impressive. Your dedication's next level, dude. And maybe one of these days we'll have to trade our stories where things maybe didn't go so well for us. I have one about Clifford the big red dog, and it's super embarrassing, and it's almost the time I did throw in the towel with Carbonites, but that won't happen anytime soon, and I don't want to see it happen to you anytime soon either, whether it's Clifford the big red dog or Pluto. Dude, you're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, Brandon. Thank you for having me on. And thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, man. I'm humble. Thank you for the kind words, man. That's what we do, man. Try to just be organic and just be ourselves, you know. And that's what I push for mainly on the channel that we do here. Is just, you know, we're fans of Star Wars, so let's talk Star Wars. And of course, the four things here on the channel: lore, theory, Funko, and Lego. If you're a fan of those, make sure you go check that out. Hit the subscribe button. Go to Instagram. Follow Carbonites. Follow Clan Brandolorian. And of course, there's a thing also in the description called the website to Carbonites. So go check you out. A box or 2 or 3 or 9. Just make sure you go check it out at least. But with that being said, I hope everyone has a good rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you may be in the galaxy, far, far away. But we will see y'all in the next one. Later.
Take care, guys.